Well, well, well. The day has arrived where I give you my impressions of the Xbox Series. Man, I'm allergic to bullshit. Anyway, let's get into the video. Alright, what's going on, guys? I'm trying to be a little bit more, entertaining with my intros, but, yeah, anyway. Yes, today's video, I do want to just give my impressions, on the Xbox Series X, just to kind of give you guys what my initial thoughts were for the console. Now, mind you, I'm not making a review. This is not a review of the Xbox Series X whatsoever, so do not walk away. Disclaimer, do not walk away from this video as me reviewing the console. I am not reviewing this console, okay? Alrighty. Now, some people are going to look at the video and they're probably going to say, just from the title, oh, you're just a PlayStation pony fanboy. Like, no, okay. Let me get this straight. First of all, I've played on Xbox for many, many years. You know what I'm saying? I've played every single one of them, and I've had a lot of fun over the years with them. So I think I have a very qualified perspective when it comes to just the ecosystem overall in general. You know what I mean? So just to kind of put that out there. But what I'm not going to be doing is I'm not going to be comparing the Xbox Series X to the PS5. That's not my intention in this video. I don't want to do that. There are probably going to be a few comparisons here and there, but not really just to compare the consoles, just to kind of get my point across for certain things. You know what I mean? All right. So that's the preface for this video. All right. So with that being said, I'm gonna get into my impressions of the Xbox Series X. So now, when I first got the Xbox Series X, there were a few things that immediately stood out to me, especially after playing on the Xbox One and the Xbox One X for so long. There were some things that immediately stood out. One of the things that actually surprisingly stood out to me when I actually got my console was the fact that the packaging was actually very nice. It was very, very well packaged, and I have absolutely nothing bad to say about it. It just felt like a quality built package. It has absolutely nothing to do with the actual console, any gameplay, or anything like that. But when you're talking about the impressions that you get from the actual product, it was very well packaged. And I thought it was really nice. I will give them credit for that, which is really cool. The next thing that I noticed right away from the Xbox Series X is that the console is actually very, very nice. It's a very nice console. When I got the original Xbox One, I remember that the console was okay. It was basically just another block, a box, or whatever you want to call it, right? When I got the Xbox One X, that was a nice console. It still is to this day, in my opinion. I feel like it's a very well-built console. Too bad they didn't really take advantage of the hardware, but the console itself was a very, very well-built console. And I feel like it sort of translated over into the Xbox Series X. I feel like the console itself, it's surprisingly nicer looking than I thought it would be, to be honest with you, because looking at all of the videos online, pre-launch and things like that, and even after launch, the console, it just looks like a tower, essentially, like a PC tower or something like that, which, you would think it doesn't really look that interesting, but, it actually is a really nice console. I'm not going to lie. It has a really nice quality build to it. It feels weighty. It just feels like, like when you feel it and you touch it, it just feels like quality, like a quality built console. That's the best way that I can put it. So that part of it was actually quite surprising. But yeah, I mean, aside from the actual console, when you actually start like messing around with the console, there are actually, as a matter of fact, there aren't a lot of things that has changed. Crossing over from the Xbox One X or Xbox One in general over to the Series X. But I don't want to say that in a bad way, because my impression of the Xbox Series X actually messing around with it and everything is that the console basically feels like what the Xbox One X should have been. So the UI really hasn't changed too much, at least from the latest update for the Xbox One X going into the Series X. Hasn't really changed that much. The games are pretty much the same. I mean, there's like the Medium is a game that you can only play on the Xbox Series X over the One X. So that's pretty cool, but for the most part, I mean, the games that you could play on the Xbox One or One X are transferred right over to the Xbox Series X. So I mean, it's pretty much the same thing. Like I said, the UI hasn't really changed or anything, but the thing about it is that it feels like an ever so slightly refined transition. Because I understand that, like, especially from the launch of the Xbox One, the UI wasn't the greatest. I had a lot of issues with the UI. I feel like it was very clunky, and I feel like, for you to be able to do, like, simple things with the console, you had to press multiple buttons to do something very simple, like take a screenshot or something like that, or to get to your friends, and it was just really clunky, and I didn't like it. I know that the latest update for the UI, I think it was sometime last year or something like that, they really refined it, and it's a lot better than what it used to be from the launch Xbox One, and that was the UI that they chose to go with the Xbox Series X, which it makes sense. They spent a lot of time refining the UI, and it's actually really nice. Now, I did notice that they did take some elements from the PS4 UI, particularly the side-scrolling and some of the way that they compartmentalized some of the UI, which is fine. I don't think that's a bad thing. But it's a much nicer UI than what it used to be, and it just feels like an ever so refined feeling for the Xbox Series X. So I have no issues with it. As a matter of fact, it feels like a nice transition from the Xbox One X to the Xbox Series X. So that was really nice. I know that they have some more features, like quick resume, things like that. I'm gonna be honest with you, I haven't really used it. I don't know if that's just because I don't have enough games on the Xbox Series X to sort of use the feature. I mostly game on my PS5, so I mean, I don't know, maybe I just haven't had the opportunity to sort of like really utilize it like that. But it's a cool feature to have on the Xbox Series X, and I think it's pretty cool. The console is noticeably faster than the Xbox One X, which obviously is pretty obvious. It's a nicer piece of hardware. It's a lot faster. It's just more capable. So I mean, that's something that would be to be expected. I wouldn't expect anything less from that part of it, from the hardware perspective. You know what I mean? Yeah. Another thing that really stood out to me with the Xbox Series X so far, which was actually a big gripe for me, is actually the controller. The controller actually feels, it's crazy because it feels pretty much like the same controller, but it's almost like the ergonomics of the controller has been slightly refined that it just feels so much better. I can't put my finger on it, exactly what it is. I think it's maybe just a little bit smaller. It just fits in your hands a little bit better, and now the pads on the controller, they have textured pads and textured triggers and stuff like that. So, and the handles are textured, so it feels really nice. It feels like a really nice controller, and it just fits in my hand so much better than the original one. Because I always felt like it was a little bit bulky. That was just my opinion. I wasn't a big fan of it, but this new one feels really nice. But yeah, I mean, outside of that, I mean, there's really not a whole lot that's changed with it. But it's really nice. It feels like a really nice, refined transition from what the Xbox One X should have been. I noticed that they did add a share button onto the controller, which was a big gripe of mine from the Xbox One and the Xbox One X. So that's really cool. So now you don't have to interrupt your gameplay and things like that to take pictures and screenshots and videos and stuff. So that part of it I love. I'm not really going to get too much into the actual like the little bits of, you know, compartments in the UI, like the store and Game Pass and all that stuff. I'm not really going to get into that. You know, it's not really, in my opinion, not really that necessary. As far as the games, I'm not, like I said, I'm not going to really get into that part of it too much. I mean, because we already know that there aren't that many games on the Xbox Series X right now, and we're still kind of waiting, which, you know, it is what it is. I mean, everybody waits for games. But I will tell you that, at least from the games that we know that are coming out for the Xbox Series X, I'm actually really looking forward to them. You know, I really am. You know, in particular, games like Everwild looks amazing to me, in my opinion. Avowed looks like a really, really awesome looking game. Obviously, I'm looking forward to playing Halo whenever that comes out. Hopefully sometime this year. Maybe sometime next year, I don't know. But, yeah. Perfect Dark caught my attention. I really looking forward to playing that. So yeah, there's some really cool games. Crossfire X is supposed to be coming out supposedly for 2021. Hopefully we'll get a release date at E3. And I think that E3 will sort of answer some of these questions as far as what, you know, we can look forward to with the Xbox. So but yeah, I mean, outside of that, we're just waiting until we get some more information on some of those games. But outside of that, just to reiterate, the console is really nice. It's just an ever so slight refinement of what the Xbox One X used to be, or is. And in my opinion, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. You know what I mean? And that's really what it feels like, you know. So, but yeah, and when the games start coming out, it'll be even better. So. But outside of that, I think that's pretty much all I had to say about this, guys. Just make sure you like, share, subscribe, leave a comment in the comment section, hit that notification bell, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace.